everybody, welcome back to the Quest for the Bestest. It's the podcast for Back Lot Banter where we, every year, review each and every single Best Picture nominee. Today, we're getting a little head start on it with The Film by Josh Safdie, that movie that came out on Christmas Day. You know the man, you know the title, Marty Supreme, starring one of our favorites, Timothee Chalamet. We got Gwyneth Paltrow, Odessa Azion, that's how you say it maybe.
Or Zion. I don't really know how to pronounce her name. Sorry to Odessa.
Well,
yeah, we can just say Odessa.
True. Even Tyler, the creator, is in this movie. I'm excited to talk about it because this movie, oh boy, did I see a lot of ads on the subway.
I'm Tyler the actor now, you know?
And well, we are going to get into it. I got to remind you what we did last time because we kicked off the nominees for 2026 with what we thought would be a good film, which, you know, peeling behind the curtain, you know, as you watch this, these are coming out before the Oscars release their list. But we here at BLB Enterprises have a tight schedule this spring, and we got to make sure we fit them all in with our own lives and everything. So we're just getting started because what? You going to stop us from reviewing a movie?
The Academy isn't that unpredictable,
No,
let's be honest.
We've been doing this for like years and years and years, so we know what's up.
We also have an Oscars mentat on the panel. Very
good. My eyes flip back in my skull.
Which ones will be nominated?
6 nominations for Marty Supreme.
But what we talked about last time was Jafar Panahi's film, which also won the Palme d'Or, our little crossover, which we to blend the transition between our two seasonal shows. But it was just an accident. Got a score 8.1, so it's the only.
There's only 2 seasons of the year. One of them is 11 months long, or is 10 months long, and one of them is 2 months long.
Yep,
that's right.
Yep, Oscars season and Palme d'Or season. So. Yeah, it was just an accident, 8.1 at spot number 1. But Marty Supreme going to compete with that, maybe for a world championship or maybe for some kind of sham little marketing stunt. We'll have to see here as we discuss these movies and figure out where it goes. But we got one last thing to do, and then we can talk about the movie. Abram, would you take us down comment lane and see what the naysayers and the haters have to say?
Yes. We now here's what's interesting, right? We were remarking about a great comment that our friend Phil left on a recent episode, but I actually went to the old channel this morning, and I found a gemstone of a comment that I wanted to read instead. That we just got over Christmas. On our review of Going My Way. And I wanted to read this.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to be honest, just you saying the title of that, I'm like, this is not going to be a good comment.
No, it is. No, hold on. This is why I wanted to read this, because this comes from Matthew Yakashin, I'm going to go with. And this is what they said here. And I love this comment here. Right, I think one should be able to put themselves into the time or era. I watched these 4 younger men to see what their take was on one of my favorite movies. Their honest opinions and review was interesting and entertaining. I am 75 years old now, and the film Going My Way was an old, heartwarming movie from my parents' era. When I was young and watched this movie with and without my parents and grandparents, I learned to appreciate it for its time and its meaning. I appreciate this review for its honesty and seeing them from their point of view in the 2020s. When I watch movies or read books from multiple eras, I tend to take the time to put myself in the situations and feel the emotions that the writer and director were trying to convey to the audience. I'm still a hyper 1960s person, but I still have to take the time, put the brakes on, and enjoy the journey. Matthew, you are the first.
This old head gold star.
Yes.
Old head gold star.
First retirement age Quest commenter to not say that, not to like freak out on us. Clearly, you know, there's a little bit of a dissonance in how we watch movie versus how Matthew watches the movie.
Certainly.
But respectful, thoughtful, verbose comment. Matthew, thank you.
Yeah. We love
Matthew treating us with respect, so we will treat him with respect in return. Thank you for your thoughtful comment.
Now, and I also want to apologize to Matthew, who is more than likely not watching this review.
Right.
But just in case. I apologize that I presupposed because of the film that the comment was going to be negative.
Listen,
I mean, look, I've been trained over years, but that's something that it's a bias I should try to break. So I apologize to Matt.
I also
we're just responding to a trend that we have seen over the course of several years.
Yeah.
Yes. I also just wanted to very briefly shout out another comment that we also got 2 weeks ago on the old channel on the Driving Miss Daisy review from someone named Paula K. Smith.
Wait, no, I mean,
simply writes. Paula K. Smith on Driving Miss Daisy simply writes, "It's Grandma."
Hi, Grandma.
Hello.
Does any of us have a Grandma? Does any of us have a Grandma Paula?
No,
know.
I don't.
Oh no, I don't. That's not our actual grandmother.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hmm.
She said it's
Maybe it's our
grandma.
collective grandmother.
Oh,
That we
the
didn't know
BLB
about.
grandma.
Yeah.
All right,
Paula
there we
Smith.
go.
Paula.
Well, wonderful
Report from the field.
Wonderful report. Tanner, what
That's
happens?
a good A tier grandma name, by the way. Paula Smith.
Paula. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tanner, would you do me the favor and describe our plot here in this Josh Safdie movie, Marty Supreme?
Yes, absolutely. So, Marty Supreme takes place in 1950s New York. It is, of course, about a man named Marty Mauser. His name's not Marty Supreme.
It'd be really weird if it was.
It's very, very strange. Marty Mauser is a up-and-coming table tennis champion in the 1950s. Sort of the star American player, as he likes to paint himself. He is a man of much bravado and ego, and uses that to his advantage in these competitions. Fancies himself the player that is going to make the sport even more famous, especially in the United States. But you know, his ego gets ahead of him a little bit, and he fails to win the British Open in London, and flies back to America, sort of in disgrace, needing to gather his resources for the World Championship upcoming in Tokyo. And in doing so, he tries to scrape together what money he can by hustling, stealing, and lying, which gets him into a lot of trouble, if you can imagine that.
Wow, hustling, stealing, and lying. What a proud American tradition. Tucker, I want to start with you. What did you think of watching this movie? You got to see it in the theater? Yes, no?
I did. Oh,
Well, I just
it-
want to check.
you can't watch it anywhere else, can you?
I don't think so.
You watch like a cam of someone's
yeah, I'm
cam.
I'm not doing that. But I also really wanted to have the sort of communal excitement of Marty Supreme, because this is a movie that people have really been raving about. And it's in a lineage of the Safdie brothers movies that I am not particularly a fan of. I remember Uncut Gems coming out, getting rave reviews, and really feeling like it was kind of on the other side of the fence of that. Checking out Good Time and really not being a fan. And I have to say, I think Josh and I are just on different sides of the street here. I don't think I like Marty Supreme much at all. I have nothing like super negative to say about any of the technical aspects of the film, but I didn't find it engaging. It is a movie that presents chaos for chaos's sake, and I don't think, for me, I found much depth past that. I don't think that Marty Mauser is a particularly compelling protagonist. I think the movie is. Here's the thing. Here's what I was struggling with last night.
Okay.
Is I'm like, am I like secretly like a Hays Code Puritan? Because I was like, this is a bad guy, and he doesn't get any comeuppance. And then I'm like, well, hold on. I'm like, I'm not from like the 1940s where like everyone who does a sin needs to like die by the end of the script. But I think this movie felt very weightless to me, because Tanner, you said he gets into a lot of trouble. I don't think that's almost true at all. He kind of gets away scot-free with like the litany of multiple dozen crimes that he commits throughout the course of this film.
He continues to get into trouble, but he always weasels his way out. He gets into some situations,
Sure.
some troubling situations that I would not want to be in.
Yes, I agree with that. But and Tanner, thank the Lord for this. The Lord that I do not believe in. You are not Marty Mauser. Holy shit, thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, because he's kind of just like the worst guy ever made. It's like, what if a shitty white boy had some riz? And I'm like, that's not a great story. Like, he's a ping pong guy, but frankly, that is almost like ancillary to the actual like plot of this movie. I don't know. I don't like it. I think that it was like sticking my finger in an electrical socket for what I would say is, I felt like 4.5 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As opposed to 2.5 hours. I thought this movie was over long. I thought it was repetitive, kind of had too much forward momentum for its own good, and I never felt a moment to connect to the world, the characters, the themes. It just felt kind of shallow and obnoxious, I guess.
I want to pivot to Abram here. What did you think? You agree or you disagree?
So I've seen Marty Supreme 2 times. I saw it first on my birthday, and I told my own mother that Mom, I'm leaving my own birthday party early to go see Marty Supreme. I was very excited for this film.
The baller move.
I would say I feel very differently than Tucker about this film. I really love Marty Supreme, and I think that for me, there's sort of two things happening here that I really like. One, I am already a fan of the Safdie's work. Really do enjoy personally Good Time and Uncut Gems. And I think that this film captures that same kind of frantic plot movement and editing, whereby there's this sensibility that you have doors opening and closing and a character just narrowly slipping through. So I think that there's that, for me, that kind of kinetic satisfaction in the way that the movie unfolds. But I think that what works for me about this film particularly is that I kind of feel like that sort of Safdie sensibility is put in this much wider tableau concerned with this immigrant story and this sort of post-war moment. And I actually found it to be a lot richer of a movie than the previous works from the Safdie brothers. I'm specifically talking about Uncut Gems and Good Time. I've not seen what old Benny's been up to in Smash Machine. I don't really care, to be honest with you. But I think that it situates sort of his frantic sensibility in this wider tapestry that, to me, I was like recalling The Brutalist and similar films. I actually find this to be a very deep and very rich movie. And also, maybe my favorite performance ever from anybody in Timothee Chalamet as Marty Mauser. I'm very excited to talk about his character because I think he is brilliantly realized, personally.
Tanner, what are your thoughts? I'm holding my cards back. I want to go last.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Marty Supreme. I think that this is a really electric and propulsive movie that basically pulls off this magic trick of being a go 2.5 hour globe trotting hustling movie, and that I was like, I mean, yeah, I just keep going back to that word propulsive because like there really is not a break in action here. It is quite like the Safdie's other work in that way. Good Time and Uncut Gems. I like that we keep excluding Smashing Machine, even though that was also made by the other Safdie brother.
Just as a quick sidebar, sorry, Tanner.
Yeah.
Did Benny do anything on this movie?
No,
I think they were split up.
Okay. Right. I just didn't know if he was involved in any way.
Because they were working on the movies at the same time, basically.
Yeah.
But it really is impressive to me that this movie is able to adopt those same sort of aesthetics and moods while also like steeping itself in 1950s Americana and being like really fully fleshed out in that way. I mean, I love the production design and the costuming and everything like that here, but I also like the ways that Josh Safdie sort of goes against that period setting, especially with your needle drops, your anachronistic needle drops in this. I'm always a big fan of something like that happening because I feel like it's a leap and a bound for a filmmaker to make to pull the audience purposefully out of that moment with a diegetic or non-diegetic needle drop. Am I using that right?
Yeah, you are.
It's yes.
Not part of
I
the
mean,
film
basically
story.
every needle drop's going to be non-diegetic. It's not
exactly
happening.
Yeah. There's of course like 50s music in here. To that end, I also love the score by Daniel Lopatin. That really lends itself to the excitement and electricity that is just coursing through Marty Supreme and basically from the very opening scenes.
Well, my nice cat. Which one is that? Is that Jesse or Apollo?
That's Jesse.
Jesse.
Yeah, he's licking his own butt sack right now.
Yep,
Jesse,
he
come
is.
on now, man.
Well, you're on camera, bro. My thoughts on Marty Supreme is that it was almost exactly what I thought it was going to be. What my expectations and my presuppositions about this movie were almost entirely realized by the film, and in a good way. I expected it to be, as Tanner, you said, propulsive. I expected myself to feel anxious the entire time. And now here I'm going to add a little addendum to this in that I sit down in the movie theater. I'm last night watching the movie. The lights go dim and it's like time to silence your cell phone, right? And I pat around all my pockets like, it's like 40 million jackets on because it's cold here. I can't find my phone. I have no idea where my cell phone is. My iPhone has disappeared.
Uh-oh.
I since found it, right? But for about the first half of the movie, the stress of the film was being compounded by the fact that I had no idea where.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I was, It did distract me a little bit, but I still I think that the drilling in on this character, this Marty Supreme character, is really really interesting. I think you're right, Tanner. The time period is a pretty interesting thing, and there's this kind of
Mhm.
like immigrant and racial animus and the post-war tensions and the like kind of the small little bit of geopolitics. But I I was not surprised, but I was gratified when this movie turned into a hustling movie in the middle after the end of the first tournament, and it's
Yep.
like, all right, now we're getting into some safety action here. We're going to just go from one crazy set piece
We're
to the
getting
next.
scummy. Oh boy, we're getting scummy.
Oh boy. And is it like, is the theme of this movie that success in America is built on fraud and exploitation? I would venture to say so. And we're showing
Hmm.
that in a couple different ways, through business and supports and whatnot. Um
Yeah.
and by the time, we get to the end, Marty has destroyed all his dreams and yet found something else. And so
Yeah.
the
Well, we should
people who
definitely
were
talk about the ending. Yeah.
yes. But the people who were sitting next to me, I would say by the middle of the third act, we're not quite towards the resolution of the film yet, but we're getting there.
Hmm.
And they're like, I heard them. They're talking to each other. They say like, "Oh, this is a sad movie, isn't it?" And I was thinking about whether I agreed or disagreed with that. And in the moment, I was like, "Yeah, this is a sad movie. This is going down a dark, nasty path." But by the end, Josh is able to pull us out a little bit of that really dark, really, really depraved ending and find this brief bit of levity that I think puts a really unique bow tie on the end of this film, because we have this character that you're like, should I hate this guy? Should I like this guy? I don't
Hmm.
know. He has a lot of admirable characteristics, and he has a lot of deplorable characteristics. And so
Certainly.
where does my opinion land? Well, um the ending with, the spoiler alert here with the birth of his child, um
Uh-huh.
leaves that kind of surprising taste in my mouth for this movie that throughout the rest of the runtime I was very much like not reading what was going to happen next, but in like, yeah, this is what I came here to see. This is what a Safdie
Mhm.
movie about sports is going to be about.
Uh, just a quick aside, because it's come up twice now. Marty is not an immigrant, unless I missed something.
No.
No, he's not.
Okay, just making sure, because
He likes to sort of wear the clothing of like,
the Jewish diaspora in America.
Yes.
He is Jewish. It doesn't the movie doesn't lean too far into that, but he likes to bring it up to kind of paint himself maybe more exotic than he
Yes,
really is.
certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a misspeak on my behalf. 100%.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yes. Should we talk about the character of Marty? I don't want to take away from Tucker's guiding us down a certain path, but I mean, he's kind of the bright shining star.
I
that
mean, well,
everything- that we- everything
that's where
circles
I
around.
want. That's where I want to go. But I will leave it up to Tucker. Do you go with the way of the crowd, or do you buck and force us
Mhm.
somewhere different?
Well, I think I want to guide us into that topic
Okay.
with uh,
Yes.
a specific element that Timo just mentioned.
Okay.
Is what do you expect out of a Safdie Brothers sports movie?
Hmm.
This makes sense. You're a Good Time fan. You're an Uncut Gems fan. Someone who is hustling, who has a lot of energy, who can make some deals. You get that with Marty Mauser in Marty Supreme.
Yep.
But also, you don't get that if you go and watch Benny Safdie's film, The Smashing Machine, which is
True.
much more. I'm going to say it, and I mean this as a compliment to The Smashing Machine, and frankly, a detriment to the rest of the Safdie Brothers movies. Uh, the Smashing Machine is a much more human movie. I think that Dwayne Johnson's performance in that and the character that he portrays is like the most believable, interesting, personable, complex character that I've seen in any of these films. And I was so surprised by that, and so I actually ended up liking that movie. It has all these same really well crafted sports segments, but that film's wrestling. This film it's ping pong. It's got the beautiful cinematography and color grading and production design to replicate the past. And so I was actually quite surprised with them. I don't love it, but I was like, this really has got some interesting thematics tied down to its main character. And I think the reason I don't feel the same about Marty Supreme is I don't think Marty is a personable character at all. I mean, I think he's actually one of the most dislikable characters I've ever seen. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I won't like the movie. one of the movies we reviewed a couple of years ago also features a very reprehensible character in Lydia Tarr, and
Mm.
Tar is one of my favorite movies of all time. Now, could that be because by the end, Lydia Tarr kind of gets her comeuppance? I don't know, maybe, but I feel that her uh, her personality plays into the themes of the world and the consequences and the way she impacts people a lot stronger. My problem with Marty Supreme is Marty treats basically everyone the exact same way in that he has no care for the consequences of their actions. He has no care for the impact they have on other people. And he's so single-mindedly driven towards one goal that to me, he feels fake. He feels impersonable. He feels impenetrable. I don't know who the real Marty Mauser is because the movie never gives us a chance to sit down and explore what his past is, why he's passionate about ping pong, his dynamics with these people that are in his life. It's all about the fact that he's just an abrasive jackass. And that totally pushed me away from the film. I really struggled to become emotionally invested, or even like I couldn't find myself engaged by the stakes of all the crazy shit that he was doing, all the people's lives he was destroying in the process, because the movie never takes a moment to show that there are actually consequences for his actions, because he gets away basically scot free for everything he does, and it makes almost every chaotic sequence in this movie feel weightless, directionless, and by the end of the film, I was just totally not sold by anything that happened because he's not a character that I have any will to see do basically anything. I'm like, I know what the next sequence is going to be. It's going to him being rude to someone, screwing their life over, and they do it anyway. They go along with it anyway. And I'm like, I don't believe any of these characters, and I especially do not believe that Marty Mauser is a person in any particular way.
I completely disagree.
Yeah.
Marty Mauser is a very deep person. You're right. We don't know who the real Marty is. Wait, Gwyneth Paltrow's character
Mhm.
is like,
Okay, yeah.
she really, we have this whole thing of her going back into the theater and this whole sequence, I think, with what she and their relationship in it being, she's unhappy in her marriage and he's this like, young crazed guy who's very persistent, and yet has like fire to him, right? He's a very, the passion of his characters is very evident. But she confronts him being like, you're bullshitting me right now, and you're bullshitting yourself too. You don't know who you are. You have created a version of yourself. And I think that that is like, I just tie this right into my thematic reading of the movie as, over and over in the sports world, right? This is not a person versus person sports movie. It's a country versus country sports movie in how we frame all these tournaments, the world, like
Mhm.
everything. Um and so then Marty's not Marty, he's the American. And that, I think, is a key piece to reading his character in that Marty, yes, he's a real guy, but he is extremely emblematic of this 50s view on how Americans operate and how the American dream is won. Like Marty, as a striver to win security and all the goals that he wants, is completely has no scruples and is willing and able to say or screw over everything. He hates his own family. He has a lot of contempt for the women that seem to like him back.
Mhm.
This The single-mindedness to his character is clearly a fault. Like it's not a good thing at all about his
Yeah.
character. Um, but for me, that like the brashness and the fact that we don't really understand what his like genesis motivation is, what the thing that really got him all started, but the fact that it's so overpowering for everything in his life that he's willing to go to all these extremes and keep spinning the wheels of the scheme makes this character an emblematic as a fraudster, and means that the comeuppance that he does get, which he doesn't succeed in ping pong, he is humiliated by the people with money and real power. And even when he tries to, lash back all that he, thinking about this Tokyo sequence at the end of the film, like he
Mhm.
gets what to him is a symbolic victory and is otherwise a complete loss. So I'm like, this Marty character is so interesting because we don't know who he is. We don't know necessarily why he acts this way, but he does act this way. And and I almost root for his. It's like I flip flop. Am I rooting for his downfall or am I rooting for his success?
Yeah,
In
well,
in the ring, I want him to win, but then he's doing some shady shit. I'm like, kind of maybe you should get screwed over for this, bro.
well, because here's the thing about him like screwing people over or whatever. Like, who are the people that he is the worst to in this movie? Like, there's always a reason for you to dislike them as well. I think it's the moralistic balancing act that Safdie is able to inject into every dynamic here. Because like even your most sympathetic characters who are going to be excuse me, one second. I gotta pull up character names here. Rachel, sorry, Odessa
Yeah.
Azion's character. Like Marty is like rude to her time and time again, but she is like drawn to him. He has a magnetic presence that she sees him like climbing a social ladder of sorts, and she is drawn to that. But otherwise, other characters that he's rude to are like Kevin O'Leary's character, who he keeps trying to hustle and like make deals with, etc., etc., etc. That guy sucks. You also have like the gangster character, Abel Ferreira's like gangster character, who is a bad guy who gets screwed over by Marty, and but who comes back to take his revenge. Like Marty gets into these situations wherein yes, he's taking advantage of people, but at the same time, like those people have complications in their personalities as well, where like they are not saintly. I don't think, which is why I feel a little bit differently about Marty as a Safdie protagonist than I do about like Robert Pattinson in Good Time or Howie, Adam Sandler's character in Uncut Gems. Like there's just a different mode of operation here, which is really interesting as they sort of morph their charlatan hustler character across different films.
I wanna address my misspeak about the immigrant dimension of this film because I think it's critical to how I think Marty's character is positioned. He is not an immigrant, but he is very much in conversation with, as you were saying, this diaspora. And I'm gonna probably be inarticulate in this, so apologies in advance.
Fair
It's not
enough.
my field of expertise, but there is, there's this moment that I think is so critical to the whole film where he's in front of a pyramid and he
Hmm.
chips off a piece of the pyramid and he
Yeah,
brings it back
yeah,
to his mother. And his mother, if we're talking about characters that we feel sympathy towards, his mother, her only deception is really in service of trying to see her son.
yeah.
And she has done nothing to wrong Marty in any way. And I think there's this really beautiful moment here in when he presents this stone to her as a gift,
Hmm.
and he says, this is from a real original pyramid. We built this.
Yeah.
Marty is a character that's belonging to this much bigger cultural mythos and tradition, much wider than himself. And I think that the film is very careful to position him not as an individual necessarily early on, because we don't see his rise. We don't see him. We see him as a success. We see him as arriving in Britain for something he feels he's owed, and we see in his ability in the early rounds, in the way he carries himself, that he believes he's owed this, and he has the skill to show it.
Hmm.
And we hear him talking to the reporters that he is the ultimate product of Hitler's defeat.
Hmm.
He is,
When he's
um,
spouting shit to spout shit, he's on
Yeah,
his performance type beat.
yeah,
yeah.
he he believes he has some sort of he's predestined for this greatness, and I think that that is the position, but beginning his character from that position, and the moments when he tries to really earnestly convey that, like through the gift of the piece of the pyramid to his mother.
Hmm.
To me, I don't view Marty as that one dimensional of a character. I think he is enraptured in this myth that he is trying to explain to the people around him that he belongs to, and he's living out and is the realization of. And I think that
He
there's a yeah.
says that quite again very rudely and to Rachel at that scene where they're kicked out of Dion's house, where he's like, "I'm going to explain something to you. I have a destiny in this world. I have a purpose. And what that means is I'm at a disadvantage as compared to everybody else, including you. I don't know what your purpose is, but I know what mine is, and I cannot be distracted by the wills and the whims of people without a purpose. Like that is extremely narcissistic, sociopathic stuff where he's almost painting himself as like more purposeful and driven, and comparing that to like humanity and consciousness than people who he views don't have that. It's why he feels the ability that he feels he is justified in taking advantage of people, in treating them the way that he does. Like it's a really interesting glimpse into his psychology.
I think, sorry, if I can just say one last thing on that
Go for
point.
it.
I think
Yeah.
that what's important to this also is the backdrop of the film, and
Yeah.
it's not even that much of a backdrop, because the sides and tensions of World War II play out specifically in the plot as well. But I think that this moment that he is placed in empowers and explains his drive as well. I think that in his narcissism there is this sense of pain that I think is palpable in how the film is constructed, and I think that to read him as solely being an asshole, I think sort of flattens a lot of the texture in the interpersonal, but also in the wider context that he's put in.
The film makes it pretty clear how the events of the Holocaust impacted all these Jewish characters. I mean, we have his mentor was in Birkenau, like, and this is a scene and a text of the film that it's important for us to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Tucker,
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Yeah, I really do disagree, and I think it's because I don't feel that. I mean, we never really see, outside of very fleeting moments, Marty not in this mode. He's a hustler. He's a go guy. He's rude to everyone in his life, people he's known forever, people he just meets. And because we don't get any backstory of why is he this way, you can piece some things together, and that's fair enough. We don't learn anything about him as a child, how he came to like ping pong, how he maybe was mistreated that pushed him into being this way. We don't see these things, and they're left up to inference. But what we instead get out of him, and the reason why I would argue that he's more one dimensional, at least in my eyes, is that I don't know what his goal is. He says he's got this purpose. He says he's been like basically chosen, and there are very few people out there that are like destined for what he's done. I'm like, well, like, is it winning at one ping pong match? Is it like is it representing America in ping pong? He doesn't seem particularly patriotic. Is it money? I don't really know, because he's willing to forego stability in so many different ways because he's so driven to what? It's so vague in my mind that I have a very hard time finding any redeeming qualities for him as a character, other than he's driven for something that he cannot particularly explain, and he will do anything to anyone else to get it. And part of the reason why I find these sequences with all these other characters he's screwing over not as complex, Tanner, as you were mentioning, with like the moral ambiguity of it, is I would say that a quarter, maybe a third of the side characters that he interacts with have some sort of element to them where I would say, okay, maybe it's justified to give them their comeuppance. But otherwise, it's like so out of proportion. The amount of damage he causes to them, the rudeness that he exacts upon them. I think about Rachel, who I think we'd all agree she's certainly the most like personable character in the film, redeemable. She like that. That's one of those like major sticking points. Kay, I don't know. Like she's like kind of hoity-toity. Like Dion, he's like annoying, but like not.
I was perhaps speaking a little bit out of turn when I said that, like, oh, some of these people. I was mostly talking about the straight up like antagonists that Marty encounters. Abel Ferreira, Kevin O'Leary. Like these are bad guys that are able to exact violence of some sort or force of some sort against Marty. Like,
I agree.
Yeah.
But I also think that why that doesn't particularly work for me, even in those cases, is both of those characters, as they are presented at the time that Marty screws them over, are not shown to be bad people. You do not know that they deserve comeuppance until way later down the line, and that just frames me through the mindset of Marty doesn't care if someone's good or bad. He doesn't know that Abel Ferreira is a mobster or anything like that. He just knows he's a guy with a dog that has a lot of money. You can infer that it's from nefarious reasons, but there's no reason for like all these characters he treats the exact same way, and that to me is the textbook definition of one-dimensional. I think that having a variety of perspectives on the people around you who have different life paths is what humanity is as a texture, and I don't believe that Marty Bowser has that.
Well,
yeah. So here's my thing. I'm cutting you off because I think we're getting away from a good point that Tucker raised.
Okay.
That I think it takes us somewhere very interesting, which is what is Marty's goal?
This is what I wanted to talk about. Yeah,
I want to talk about that. I think that that's very interesting because I think that his goal is extremely specific.
Yeah,
I think that it's actually reaffirmed many times. He wants to become the face of the sport of ping pong. He wants to get on the Wheaties box. When he does these things, he's going to demonstrate the skill that he knows he has, superior to anybody else on the planet. And in doing so, he's going to put his mom on Fifth Avenue in the apartment with the elevator and the guy that'll bring her up to her floor.
Which is an American dream all over it. This is just squarely all he wants is the thing that is promised to him by virtue of being an American.
Yeah.
You know who's got it? Kevin O'Leary's got it. His character has achieved the American dream. And so Marty, that's, I see this aspirational, striver, climber character coming out all the time from him when he is specifically doing things. It's for sporting fame and for money. These are the two reasons that he'll do whatever. And most of the time they combine. He's going to go hustle, and he's going to go hustle people using the sporting knowledge to get a bunch of money from them.
Mm-hmm. And I think,
here's what I'll say. You're totally right. I obviously saw those scenes. I understand that. I think my disconnect is because I honestly, I don't know why I made that claim that it's a non-specific goal. I think my problem is I don't know if I really believe that that's his goal because I don't understand him as a person. I think that personal connection, empathy, human understanding with a protagonist is a big part of the reason why I might really connect myself to their goal, to their passion, to their drives. He feels so fake to me that even that I can't know. I don't know if I buy it as the truth. Like, and that comes up through so many interactions through this movie. I'm like, I can't tell when he's lying or not. And maybe that's a strength of the script, maybe that's a strength of the performance. But if he says, I want to be on the Wheaties box, I want to put my mom on Fifth Avenue, but he also treats his mom like shit and screws over the people that have the potential to put him on the Wheaties box, I'm like, do you? Do you want to be on the Wheaties box? Do you want to put your mom on Fifth Avenue? I don't know. I don't buy it because he's such a compulsive fucking liar that even his clearly stated goal, I don't know if I believe is actually his goal.
So his goal is to get what he wants from whoever he's talking to, and he'll say whatever he needs for it.
So this is,
that's the point, right? So like, do you believe that when he says these things that he's not just trying to fill their mind with a thing of grandeur? I don't know. He could just be coming up with this on the fucking spot.
Sometimes he is. I believe it that he is in certain scenes. Tanner, go ahead.
Have you guys ever met a compulsive liar, like an A1 bullshitter?
Yeah, I've met A1 bullshitters.
I got 3 of them right here, baby.
Because if you've honest to God, like over a period of time, like had an acquaintance or someone who is like this, which I have, yeah, they're like this. Like we talk around, is Marty behaving like a real person? Is the performance believable, et cetera, et cetera? Like, yeah, there are people who exist like this. I don't think it's a far cry. I think the real talent in Chalamet's performance specifically is making him magnetic and watchable and exciting in each of these interactions. Which is why, again, I go back to like the morphing of this kind of protagonist across like Good Time, Uncut Gems, Marty Supreme. I think there is a lineage of a maturing perspective on this kind of guy from, I guess, specifically Josh Safdie, since he's the sole director of this, but the Safdies in general. In the first 2 films that we keep mentioning, there's a definite sort of like evolving of how they paint this kind of character. and especially who they get to perform it. I think it's very, very different to have Timothee Chalamet, a brilliant bit of meta casting as
I
well,
mean, it's
to have
super, it's
him
so
imbue
meta.
this character.
The guy
Um,
who, as an actor, is like, I am going to be the next Marlon Brando. I want to be the greatest of all time. Here's my 5-step plan to do this.
mhm.
And then, yeah, you play a character who is essentially like that in
Yeah, you're
supporting
taking
form.
the archetype of the compulsive liar, the pathological liar, the charlatan, the hustler, who we've seen in film since time immemorial. And
Mhm.
you're transposing him through this actor, and this actor is applying his own sort of innate sort of charisma to the role.
Yeah, I think Tanner. To me, this is a really critical point. You know what it actually reminds me of? Because Tucker, you invoked Tar earlier. I'm going to invoke our Tar review, where
Oh,
I famously had to get up and take a piss at one point, and you guys kept the tape rolling, and were like, "Should we tell Abram that Lydia Tar is not a real person?"
uh-huh.
And I feel that's useful because I think that the fire with which we debate this character of Marty, to me, is illustrative of the success to Tanner's end. I think that this is a character you can't look away from. And I feel like the film is willing to seed doubt in his truthfulness. And I think my favorite moment of performance in the film is when he returns to CK in her dressing room with the costume jewelry. And he is spinning this yarn that we know as viewers is false, about how he stole this jewelry and he was maybe going to pawn it, but then he got a heavy conscience and was going to go give it back. But we know he tried to sell it. He knows it's costume jewelry, just as Kay accuses him of.
Yeah.
And I think that
by the way, I just want to say in that sequence, I thought they kept saying custom jewelry. I'm like, wouldn't that make it more expensive?
I also the first time when he takes it to the pawn guy, I thought he said custom. I was like, huh? I guess like you can't sell that if it's like engraved to somebody, like that makes it less expensive. But the second time when Paltrow says it, it's like, oh, costume jewelry. I see.
I, the real New Yorker amongst us, could understand all the heavy.
Shut the hell up.
All the accents.
Shut the hell up.
Hey, I'm drinking my coffee here.
Oh, it's fucking costume jewelry.
Yeah, there's a costume. Yeah, people really talk like that up here. They still do.
So why I like this scene so much is that we enter it knowing truth. We know what the truth is. We know that Marty knows it's costume jewelry. Kay clocks that, and I think that, to me, the strength of Chalamet's performance is how far he goes. The film is an indictment of him in some ways, and that scene is in particular because we come to understand, okay, he is standing by this line that he knows that it's over. He knows he's been caught, but he thinks that there's a part of him that, again, this predestined for greatness part of him that can get past her, that can get something past her. But he can't. She is the only character in the narrative that sees him very clearly because she is the character most similar to him. She is the character who is also, as she says in that scene, I would have stole from me too. And what I really enjoy
I think Rockwell also, though, is one of those characters that's similar to him and sees through his bullshit,
I think it's
but uses that to like punish him.
I think
but
it's
I think the
characters with
difference
lived
is
experience is kind of my thing. Like the older characters, I think kind of can see through his younger bravado bullshit.
But there's also a difference because Rockwell is who he says he is. He's that guy. He is this rich magnate with all these resources.
I'm a vampire, and I'm coming.
Vampire.
we gotta talk about that. We gotta talk about it.
But Kay is similar in that she is also on borrowed time. She's on money her husband is reluctantly giving to her. She's in a marriage she hates. And she's here with a dream that fails. She fails. She gets the call. Okay, here's the New York. What's the New York Times got to say? Presumably, they say it's fucking awful.
Yeah,
and we see this seeded. We see this seeded throughout the film. Hard to get it funded. Can't get anybody to show up opening night. The crowd's paid for. Her co-lead sucks. There's no motion here. But she's hanging on to this dream that she can't realize. So is Marty. Marty can't be that. He thinks he's predestined for it, but that distance is so interesting to me because it seems like in a different film he should be able to do it. He should have the skills, the temerity, everything to succeed and get what he wants, but he can't. And I think that his inability makes his bravado in his performance so much more interesting to me, because it's not necessarily that it's coming from a place of having done it. He has nothing, and he is Marty Supreme. He is this guy nonetheless.
Mhm.
And to me, that's very different than the sort of arrogance and the way that Kevin O'Leary's character is imposing on other people. He paddles Marty in the ass because he can,
Mhm.
and he is in such a position. He says, "I have all
He
the
put-
power.
I
You
just
have
have to
none."
say something.
Yeah.
He puts the paddle
Yeah.
up Schitt's Creek. Sorry,
Oh, sure.
Yes,
Well, he
that's
does.
fair.
He does. He doesn't do that, but
you don't see it. You don't know. Might happen later. There's a cut there. But here's what I'll say. Aiden, I think you clarified two things for me. Number one, I think you clarified an element of this movie that I think allows me to understand why some people would connect to it more on a personal level, of the idea of this guy trying, but that distance being so great that he doesn't succeed, and that being an interesting interplay. But I also think that the main reason why I cannot find it within myself to believe in these elements that you're mentioning is I gotta say it, I think I've been diagnosed. I've been diagnosed with Timmy blindness because I don't see what people see in him. I thought that this was close to an insufferable performance. I think that the way that he mutters, the way that he looks down, the way that he speed talks, I do not buy this guy as magnanimous. I do not buy him as someone that people would buy into. And so I find all these scenes totally uncompelling because I'm like, number one, I can barely understand what he's saying in like half of these fucking scenes. And number two, I'm like, there's no fucking schmooze for this guy. It's like everyone just falling for this guy that is like just kind of like weaselly and obnoxious and like never does anything good for anyone. I'm like, and especially the people that have been in his life forever. I'm like, I've got the fucking bullshit. I don't even have that sense of smell. I've got the fucking bullshit alarm 20 miles past everyone in this movie because he's such a cyclical person. He just treats these people in the exact same way over and over again, but they keep falling for his bullshit. I'm like, no, why does anyone in any of these situations buy this stuff? He's such a loser. He's such an idiot.
He's
I don't
not.
know.
No, he's not a loser.
I don't think so.
Think about the scene at the British.
Absolutely,
Think
he's
about
a
the scene at
dickhead
the
to
British
everyone.
Open.
That's
Wait,
like the
listen to me,
definition of
listen
a
to me,
loser.
Listen to me. The scene at the British Open clearly shows us that he does have some core of honor in him. It's the moment where it's match point and he goes and he's like, let's fool around with his old mentor, the guy that he's just, he's completely walloping. That it's a very gracious moment. They have a lot of fun with it. The expectations of who does what in this performance, right? It's clear foreshadowing to what's going to happen in Tokyo later. That scene is Marty being a good person, doing what's right by the sport, doing what's right by his mentor, and
The guy's name's
still
Ezra, I
succeeding.
believe.
He still succeeds
Bella.
in the moment.
I
He gets.
thought his name was
Sorry, you're right, Bella.
Bella. Yeah.
He's like the only character in the movie that Marty likes.
Well, he's
he likes,
clearly the mentor figure.
Wally.
Yeah, he likes Wally.
Sure. He fucks over Wally a lot.
Now hold
even though
on.
Wally
No,
tells him he's not going to fall,
I don't think
fall
he.
for it.
I mean, Wally. To your point, Tucker, doesn't buy Marty's bullshit. He goes on.
Yeah, but then he does, like 10 seconds later.
No,
He's like, I'm not giving you the money. Yeah, and then Marty has all the fucking money.
No, they lose the money.
They lose it all
No,
in the gas station fire. It all
Yeah,
goes out the back
all
of
the
the
money
car.
like flies out the window. They lose all their money.
he doesn't have anything.
he doesn't have any of the money.
No, when they swerve away from the people, they like smash into that telephone pole. The door flies open, and you see like
Sure.
all the money fly out
you
and
know
the
what?
dog.
Here's what I'll say. I think the reason why I didn't pick up on that is because then like the next shot, the car is fixed. So I'm like, oh, well, they must have had the money.
The car's no, the
Yeah,
car's
they're
not
like driving the
fixed.
car's fine.
Well, what happened is like the window smashed in and like the fender's kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
He
it's
gets
the-
some-
Like
the
one
car's not-
of the wheels like disappears.
What?
Like,
No,
No.
that's
the,
not how-
the car's like dragging on the ground.
No.
I saw the movie.
The sparks are from
the electric
like the power
wire,
line.
which causes the gas station to explode.
they rip over. Yeah.
Which is my.
So then they
Just
Here's what I want to invoke a scene. Okay.
Okay,
I want
okay,
to
okay.
invoke a scene.
Here's a scene.
Here's a scene. This movie's got scenes in it. Let's talk about one of them.
Hey, what did you know it?
I think this is a critical moment in understanding the character Marty Mauser. When he knocks on Ezra's door and slams him in the face with a trophy.
This
and
is what I
goes,
want to bring
"Shame
up
on
too.
you."
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like how Marty is, he doesn't do anything for anybody, but like he does that to like get revenge for Rachel.
He's not, he doesn't, he affirms many times in the film that he's not willing to settle down. He's not going to step up. The best he can do as a friend is find a maternity home for Rachel and the child.
Mhm.
But there is something in him that drives him to go in the middle of the night, take this trophy, go to this man 3 times larger than him, this man willing to get physical,
Like an ape.
opens the door, cleaves him in the face with the sharp edge of this trophy, and
Mhm.
goes, "Shame on you." I think it's not a fair assessment of the character of Marty to undermine or overlook these moments where we see that there is a core to him, as Timo was saying. And that reveals something. Who is he when the only person around is this person that has wronged Rachel and it doesn't take a second to confirm anything. We go from the black guy to creeping into the bedroom to grabbing the trophy to beating him over the head with it. I
Mhm.
think I think that the film is not interested in a pros cons table of traditional morality and having the right
He says
balance
it
of
himself
pros and
that he's
cons.
impulsive. This is an impulsive decision, but
Yeah.
maybe on the more, maybe it's a little violent to be
Well,
a good
yeah,
act.
but
but
that's what I say
Knowledge that
is
he
too.
has, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But that's also key though. Is if you paint that scene as one of his more fleshed out moments, one of the more quote unquote redeeming moments, I think that is fair, but is also one that I strongly disagree with because he beats a guy who actually, I mean, you know, he's a dickhead, but we learn later on that he didn't actually beat Rachel. He beat a guy with a thing like that. To me, that's not a redeemable trait. And so many of these scenes where like there's this tinge of like maybe he's moral. I'm like, no, I still think he's a dickhead.
No,
Like,
but
that made me like him less.
The
No, but
dream is
you're-
built
you're-
on
you're-
fraud.
Yeah, the dream is built on fraud, but also you're undermining the action he took because he thought that his childhood friend and the woman that he thinks is carrying his child was getting battered by her husband, so he clocked him over the head with something heavy. Like, okay,
Sure.
he later learns that that's not true. That's not that's like not in the context of the film useful for understanding his
Let me tell
headspace
you.
at the time.
And maybe this is a personal thing.
Hmm?
I wouldn't clock someone on the head with a fucking trophy. I like if they're abusing someone,
Sure.
I'm like, I'm not gonna go hit someone in the middle of the night. Like that explains it for him.
You're
Sure,
not gonna
doesn't
do it.
explain it for me. Doesn't make it more empathetic.
Yeah, but I think that ultimately, here's a question for you, Tucker. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Does the fire that Marty Mauser inspires in you make you think that maybe at least that there's something compelling about the character? Because I feel like the polarizing quality of Marty Mauser is what makes him so interesting. Does that make sense? Does that register?
Sorry,
Does that
can
mean
you,
anything?
can
to
you
you?
reframe the question?
Because you're I feel like a lot of your criticisms, this is not to undermine your criticisms,
Yeah.
but from my point of view, a lot of your criticisms is that he is a distance away from what you feel are your values and your morality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that distance not interesting? Does that not make him an interesting
no,
character?
It isn't because I don't believe it. I don't think that any of the stuff he says is true. I don't know when he's lying. I don't know I don't know anything about his history. So if I can't believe anything because I don't know why he's this way, and I can't believe anything because he's almost too consistent in the way that he portrays himself. There's no endpoint for me on either of those. I can like an antagonist. I can like an anti-hero. I can like a morally reprehensible character. I don't think that there's any in to Marty Mauser, and the end that a lot of people have. And as I said, I understand why people would connect to this movie a lot deeper than I do, is that most people, all of you guys included, find Timothee Chalamet and specifically his performance as Marty Mauser to have that sort of magnanimous quality to it. I simply do not. I think that the performance is not compelling, and the fact that the performance isn't compelling means that I think that everyone who falls for his shit look even stupider because of it.
I want to pull the room on this. Timo, what do you think of the performance? Tanner, what do you think of the performance? I'm
Two
curious.
thumbs up, A+. I think
Yeah.
it's the type of performance where it's he is simultaneously blending into the role, and I'm like, I'm in on this Marty Mauser guy, and then I'm also like, hot damn, Timmy's acting up a storm right here, like hot, like all these little affectations that were kind of grating on you, Tucker, I found to be all the little bits that made this charlatan character work. That he all the performance aspects of him, of us not knowing if he's telling the truth or lying and like not knowing whether to believe him or not. Those are all performance things that are coming out of his, the deep character work that Chalamet has done in prep. Like this is, as an actor, you can't act this kind of stuff unless you deeply know. And you're not telling you can't tell anybody these kind of things. Because if you tell the director this shit, they're going to like give you notes that'll ruin it. You got to keep it deep within you, and then you perform it to what Chalamet knows Mauser is. And yet it's Chalamet's job not to let us know, because Mauser wouldn't let us know.
Tanner?
You start engraving the Oscar now. That's what those are my thoughts. No, I mean, like, this is, to me, like, as career-defining a performance as, like, Paul Atreides for Timothee Chalamet.
Good pull. I want you to remember back 2021 when we reviewed the Best Picture nominee Dune. One of my biggest criticisms of that movie is that I do not buy Timothee Chalamet as Paul Atreides.
Yeah, maybe.
I thought he was annoying. I thought he was a sink on the movie, and it made me not believe the power that Paul ultimately has over people. I thought he was totally miscast, and I don't think that's necessarily true here. I think he looks the part, and the Weasleyness is, I think, more a part of this character than it was with Paul. But both of those movies, I think, stand in my mind as like he's kind of, I think, the reason why I don't like these movies.
Fair enough.
Dang.
Well, then, let's, if we may, stop talking about Timothee Chalamet and Marty and talk about other aspects of the film.
I got one in particular that I was really, like I said, I saw the movie opening day, and then I was thinking about it the whole week until I saw it again the other day. I'm so interested in, and I want to get it's Bela Kletsky.
Yes.
There's this moment when Marty has said, I'm going to pay for the Rockwell table. We're sitting down to dinner. And Kevin O'Leary comes over, and he's sort of he's getting this tit for tat out of Marty. He's getting flustered. And then Marty turns the attention to Bela Kletsky and says, "Tell Mr. Rockwell your story." And we enter this transportative vignette where we're back.
It's the only time in the movie this happens.
Yeah. It's this very singular moment where we're outside the concentration camp, and we learn that Kletsky is because they respect his ping pong ability, been allowed to go out into the woods around the camp and defuse these bombs. He finds this honey. He smokes out the bees. He breaks open their hive. He covers himself in the honey and goes back into the camp to let all of the other in prisoners lick the honey off of him. What do you guys make of this scene? Its inclusion, its function, anything?
First of all, it's really sensual. It's really like the way that the like licking is shot and sound designed and just kind of staged is like, this movie has plenty of like sexy moments, and this is one where we're contextually it's decidedly unsexy, and yet the way that it's like framed and filmed up has a very like body. It's just very, very bodyful in its.
Yeah, I love this scene. I think that from the moment they sit down at the table, you can feel the camaraderie and the bond, and why I like Marty and Bella's connection so much is I do feel like that's one of the few people, if not the only actually person in the movie, where he lets his guard down in some way, where Bella sees his bullshit, but like they have this mutual respect because of their connection to the sport. Other than Wally, Bella's also the only other person that really plays ping pong in the movie. And I like this scene for two reasons. I think that this is one of the best realized like progressions of Marty conning someone into getting to know him or doing something for him of the entire film. I really like the go tell he's like, okay, waiter, come here, and the waiter's like, does it because it's his job. And he comes over, he's like, go pay for that table and don't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And so then Rockwell comes over, he's like,
what the hell
are you? He's like, do I know you? And this is the moment where I was like, okay, this is good. When Marty says, no, I don't think you do. And he just kind of like sits back and he's like really relaxed. That relaxed Marty Mauser, I found that to be one of the most like compelling moments. But the reason why I think this scene stands out to me, again, I like that progression, but is because, and this combines with the pros and cons of this whole thing, is the reason that I think that Rockwell ultimately falls for the trap of Marty Mauser is because Marty gives the reins to someone who is more personable than him and has a more interesting backstory than him. And that's what makes Rockwell get sucked into this whole thing. He's got all these little bits. He's like, I want to pay for the thing, yada yada yada. But it's not until he's like, Bela, tell your story.
Mhm.
Something that is intimate, that is personable, that has emotion in it, that I think is a lot more understandable and relatable to especially Rockwell as someone who lost his son in World War II.
Mhm.
That is a key moment of this whole thing of like it, and I like that scene because Marty was kind of the driving force, but he wasn't the emotional force. So many of the sequences in this movie they lack emotion entirely to me because I don't buy Marty as a character. I don't
Mm.
think he has emotion. I don't even know if I know he has like capability for emotion. When he hands the reins to someone who is more intelligent than him, who is more emotional than him, who is more human than him, that's what sells Rockwell.
Well,
and so that's a pros and cons game for me.
I think that moment is has even deeper complexity to it, and I'll get there in a second. But I want to hop down a rabbit hole here a little bit. I love this whole scene. This dinner scene is my favorite scene in the entire movie. It is just packed full of like whip crack lines basically that are just so smart and witty and just hit the audience so interestingly. Like
They were
the
getting my
fucking
theater. My theater
Yeah.
was reacting loudly during
Yes.
this scene.
I mean, it's his first interaction between Kevin O'Leary and Timothee Chalamet, and their dynamic is just so good. But to the end of Marty using Bella's story to manipulate Rockwell. It is also Marty weaponizing and utilizing the story of Jewish suffering that he did not undergo. Suffering that he likes to tap into every now and then to bolster his own image in some way, shape, or form. Like, I think this film has a very interesting view every time it crops up of Marty doing that, utilizing his Jewish identity and the Jewish identity and suffering of others with the pyramid scene, with the we built this, with I'm the ultimate symbol of Hitler's defeat, stuff like that. I think this is perhaps one of the best use cases of that. And also, it is a direct. I love its placement in the actual scene. I think this film is brilliantly edited because it comes as an early on juxtaposition of total selflessness in the face of Marty's utter selfishness that we've seen up till that point.
Yeah.
And also the scene immediately following that, we cut from that story being finished to Kay going to the royal suite and sleeping with Marty for the first time. Like, it's a literal, it's a honeypot scene. Is basically what Josh Safdie is sort of bowling that
Josh,
into
you clever
there.
bastard.
Yes,
Yeah.
good stuff. I love that entire sequence. I fucking God.
I really quite like
the moment where he laughs when Kevin O'Leary when Rockwell says, "Oh, my son died in the Pacific Theater," because Marty recognizes that there's a severe disconnect in the pretty blatant anti-Semitism that Rockwell is engaging in. With like, your son had nothing to do with freeing the Jewish people from the concentration camps. He was in the Pacific Theater, which was a completely different side of the war that you just blamed Bella for.
You have to go back even 2 steps in that scene because it's Rockwell who pulls back.
Yeah, he sees the
pulls
tattoo.
back Kusky's sleeve and sees the tattoo, and then said, "Oh, my son died liberating you." There's this sense,
and then Marty
they're
looks
like,
back right away with, "I thought you were liberated by the Soviets."
Yeah,
That's a great moment. Yeah.
yeah, and that's where I think that this film to me sets itself apart in from some of the earlier Safdie films, because I think it's concerned with something so much bigger than just the characters. And I'm interested in what you guys make of the World War II ness of it all. Timo, I'm curious what you think in particular of this.
I think that plays more in the Tokyo sequence where we're kind of living in this world of like forming Japan into what it's going to be, like the imposing of the American will on Japan through the war victory, but then through this, through Rockwell Inc. And we kind of got to recall, right, Rockwell while they're this is real life history. While they were talking about ink and everything, they're a defense contractor. They're making missiles and satellites and shit. So there's that's why all the generals are there watching the performance.
Match. The exhibition game, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about about this kind of like reverse American humiliation that this scene sets us up in. That like we are like putting this whole show on to humiliate the Americans, such that the Japanese will buy more American products. In this like kind of weird, as Marty, says, I'm going to drop the third bomb.
Yes.
Which is not what.
Great line.
Is
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
One of the two moments where your audience goes, I assume it was the same for you guys, where they go, Jesus, like they recoil at the brashness of what he's that, and I'm gonna do what Tukhletski what Auschwitz couldn't. I'm gonna finish the job or whatever.
I can't fucking believe those lines.
Sorry to interrupt, Timo. I just wanted to shout that out because it happened both times I saw this movie. Is the audience recoiled at both those lines?
I don't quite know what to make of what Safdie's saying here, though. I feel all these elements, and yet I'm like, okay, yeah, we're going over and we're colonizing Japan again. Yeah, we're doing, Marty is fighting for this, his personal goal is kind of combining with what all the generals, the generals sitting in the audience love to see their boy win, even though they didn't even know that this was going to happen. And so it kind of plays into, I think for me, it's like the most present example of like the racial animus of the time, because in the other scenes where we could imagine there being some like racism playing out and stuff, like with Wally when they're at the bowling alley, it isn't actually all that racially motivated. It's a lot more scam motivated. They're playing roles, especially Marty and Wally in that scene. They're playing roles to get everybody else involved with it.
Well, they're all actors, actually.
Yeah, they are. But they're saying mean things to each other. Marty's saying slurs to Wally, and it's yet, and they seem to be really going at each other. They might really be going at each other, but both of them know in the reptile brain that it's all just this act. And so yet that is what's going on in Japan, and yet it's maybe not just an act. Because we're going to have Korea in like a year or two. We just bombed this place, was in a big, giant, horrible war for a long time. Like the acting of all the Japanese people in the audience, they're not. They're there just in this patriotic support. And this, I think Safdie is not super kind to the portrayal of Japanese. He puts them in this kind of like very like lockstep. All the women are shown to be like extremely, coordinated and all dressed the same, and this very like kind of clamped down society. So it's like I don't quite know what to make of that ending bit, but the whole World War II background leads, I think, to this. I think it builds on Marty's character, on this fiery, this American feeling of invincibility that is most definitely found in post World War II.
Yeah, I think that the way that I came to sort of realize that this was an element of the movie, we get the title cards, like it's 1952. The movie starts in the UK. We then go back to the US. We learn a little bit about how quickly this is still there's obviously just still like massive impact, cultural impact. People are still feeling the impact of World War II, and that sort of post World War II tensions underneath, but few characters like really engaging with it. Like most of them kind of just like make jokes or comments about it. I think is really interesting textually. I mean, I think that's, if I had to say, I think that might be my favorite element of the movie, and like what does give me a hint towards it having a little bit more thematic texture. And so I really like those elements. I think the reason that it doesn't really save the movie for me or give me too much more of an in is I do agree with Timo, is it's great context, but especially as it connects to Marty, I don't know how much I feel it really solidifies as a theme, especially by the end of the movie. I like the fact that we're playing into this recapturing a relationship between Japan and the US and the tensions there and that kind of stuff, but Marty's only partially concerned with this stuff. He's very focused on himself, obviously, and I think that to see these themes of the interesting time period and these conflicts that are impacting so many people if that was to really crystallize in something I felt more meaningfully about, I think I would have wanted it to enter into Marty's mind or impact him a little bit stronger. But the movie doesn't really seem to have too much of an angle with that, especially because Bela doesn't like return in like the last act of the movie at all. He's kind of just gone. But I do really like that. I think that's one of the strong elements of the movie, creatively.
For me, the intertwining of our main character and these ideas that we're now exploring are unconscious on Marty's part. Like,
Sure.
obviously, we're approaching this looking at this as a film that has a forward momentum that Marty is unwittingly wanting to climb aboard. He is unwittingly wanting to be part of this, this upward climb of American dominance in the mid 20th century. He just looks at it as like, I want to be successful. I want to be the best. Which is obviously a mirror of the trajectory that America was on at this point in time. But he doesn't have, obviously, he's not like, oh, I think if I consider this, I guess I'm on the same trajectory as as America is, and I am. I think it's also interesting that he at numerous points he recognizes the Rockwell exhibition game is using Koto as a symbol of of that capitalistic dominance of Japan that he's being commercialized, and he uses that to motivate Koto to play an actual game with him. Um, but Marty is also being used in that same fashion. He's there to be
Yeah.
humiliated for the greater the goodwill towards Rockwell and the Americans. They're like, look, here's an American guy that we're willing to like lose and kiss a pig, huh? We're not so serious. We don't have so much ego as Americans. We can let him. We can tie him to the tracks. But buy our pens and buy our American products and Americanize your country a little bit. It happens earlier in the film
Institute our
too.
American Constitution,
Yeah. It happens earlier in the film too. One of the things that I see really under discussed that is a really interesting real life historical context that Josh Safdie folds into Marty Supreme is this Harlem Globetrotters tour that you see
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
the title cards on screen. We see 4 or 5 title cards. It's all like Eastern
Eastern
European
Europe.
communist bloc places that we are touring this like very American rah rah. We're wearing red, white, and blue costumes. Here's these 2 guys. We're gonna entertain you who are just under the rule of communists. Like this is what the Americans can provide for you. Look at all this fun entertainment we have. I think that's really interesting too, especially in the context of like the Harlem Globetrotters really going on that tour at post World War II as a way to undermine the Soviet / communist attack on America that we were super racist and treated black people very poorly, which we did. But this was a propaganda war that was like, no, look at these excellent athletes that like, look at them. They can show off their talents and travel the world. Like, would America really be so racist if we allowed this to happen?
Yet Marty, our prime American #1 here, is like, they're a bunch of clowns. He like hates on
They're a
them.
bunch
He
of
doesn't like them at
exactly.
all.
Yeah,
He
it's
sees
a
through
it's a
what the
circus act.
Globetrotters really are.
And then of course he
think-
does a complete 180. He's like, they're incredible athletes. Look at them
Well,
go.
once
Like, they're the best
he
in the
has to be
world.
part of them,
Yes.
I think that the film has a very interesting and specific interest in the commercialization of sport. I
Mhm.
think that is something that I don't maybe traditionally associate with the journey of the athlete in a film like this.
But
Mar-
is it
Mar-
is it relevant today, Mr.
Hmm.
Van Duel?
Well, here's what's interesting, right? Because Tanner, you were mentioning the anachronism of the needle drops at the very beginning of the conversation, and obviously those are mostly like 80s in the 70s.
They're like
80s
all
stuff,
80s. It had this very
synth, very
specific
synth
vibe.
heavy as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
But I think the anachronism kind of for me sort of taking me out of time. It didn't maybe put me in the 80s so much as it sort of put this movie in conversation for me today with like Saudi Arabian sports washing. and
Sure.
things. I
Mhm,
think that the
mhm.
film, I think that the film is to everything you're saying, Tanner, is like very acutely aware of the cultural and financial power of sporting. And our characters are constantly sort of driven by that. And even Marty, who is concerned with this notion of his reputation as a player, is concerned with his status as the best player, the drama of the storylines. It's also business. it's business for him.
Mhm.
Look at the
It's-
ball.
it's-
Follow the ball.
It's doubly business, yeah, with the
Yes.
actual merchandising.
Yeah, and so I find it to again connect really nicely back to what Timo was saying earlier. This notion of what is this American dream of playing sports built on, and what does it actually involve? If I had to criticize the film anywhere, I think one thing that I felt on a rewatch is that I kind of feel like it sags a little bit for me in the middle. I kind of think that I'm sort of less moved by the stuff with Ezra's dog than everything else around it. Just because I feel like we start to digress a little bit there, and it feels a little bit less rich to me. It's obviously much more interested in his character and Chalamet's character and the characters of Rachel and everyone, but I find that you can layer so much both historical context and learning and modern commentary about the commercialization of sports and the cultural power of sports onto either end. And I think that the middle is most fun and most diverting and sort of plays to Josh Safdie's strengths. But I think I might be more moved by everything around that.
Yeah,
Totally.
that
Yeah, I think I do agree with that, and I think it ties very nicely in with what is ultimately my. It's funny to say this, over an hour into the movie, but my biggest critique of the movie and why I think just a couple minutes into the movie, I'm like, I was doing a lot of slow nose exhales when a scene would finish. and it's
Oh,
like,
I know you love to do that in a movie. You love to make
I
those
can
noises.
hear that
I can
right
hear
now.
it
I can
too.
hear it.
yeah, I was I'm gonna make two comparisons
okay. Here we go.
here that no one has ever made to Marty Supreme.
All right, here we go.
Two things that I don't like, and all three of these things for one particular reason: Multiverse of Madness, the Doctor Strange sequel, and Bayonetta, the video game.
Okay.
Now these are two projects.
I like
two
one of those
artistic
things.
works, in which my biggest critique of both of them, and this also applies to Marty Supreme, is that there's too much action. There's too much go, and they feel like just a bunch of craziness jam-packed together. And the middle of Marty Supreme, I feel, is very much that, to the point you were making about Ezra and his dog, is I'm not above thinking that a scene where a bathtub falls through a ceiling is funny, but it was too much for me. And then the thing blows up, and then he's got the dog, and then the guys shooting him, they crash the car thing, and I'm like, I can barely tell why any of this is happening because I'm not emotionally invested in Marty as a character. There was too much. It was all noise to me. And at a certain point, I think that's also why some of these elements, like the car being repaired or not, like these things, I think escaped me, is because my mind was just totally frazzled by this film. There's so much happening. There's no downtime scenes, and then in the downtime scenes we do get, it's just him being a jackass to people, and so my mind just like turned on to like this like tension and this anger. And I have to say, that is also why I don't like Good Time or Uncut Gems. Is they're very abrasive movies. They're very go. There's so much energy. I don't like Bayonetta. I don't like Multiverse of Madness because what both of those projects do is they slam me from one high octane sequence to another without any time in between to settle with the people that are involved in these things. When I rewatched Avengers Endgame a few weeks ago, the reason why I realized I love this movie is because it was almost 2 hours until an action sequence. And that to me is really meaningful. And I don't feel like I get that with Marty Supreme. I have no time to get the characters, to believe in them, to understand, to connect to their personalities. This is a high energy movie from the moment it starts to the moment it ends. And that's why I say it felt like 4 hours. It exhausted me. And in a way that I was really, really uncomfortable with and hadn't pushed me away from any particular themes or character moments that I could have related to. It's just, it's too much for my tiny little pea brain.
See, I knew this was what I was walking.
Be...
I was walking into the theater being like, I've just paid Williamsburg Cinema $20 to go sit down and I'm gonna watch this movie that is gonna stress me out from the moment the lights come down to the moment I get up, and then I lose my phone, so I'm doubly stressed.
Right.
But by having this like expectation, we know that this is what it's gonna be like. We watched these previous Safdie brothers movies, so for me, this middle, which is shocking and gratuitous and just like a lot. Yeah, it kind of drags a little bit, but for me, it's like cause and effect, very well established. Zaniness, like right in line with what I'm expecting and what I kind of want, honestly, from this director. And that it's sensational. The bathtub falling through the thing and the horribly mangled arm, and Marty sees the bag full of money, and I'm like thinking like Marty in this moment. I'm like, money, money, money. like here we go, we in the money. Like yeah, baby, it's scam time. We got to get that money. And so like I like to play along with the character. Like yeah, he's a dick, but I'm not a dick, so I can be a little vicariously mean through this movie. And yet then this, we go in the scam with the bowling alley, and by the time we get to the gas station and the shootout finding the dog, he's just the tension and the stress has just been ratcheted up so much. I have to laud it because most filmmakers are too scared to put that in their movie, and they're not skilled enough to pull it off. And Safdie has proven over and over again that this is the character of his films, and that this is what he wants to put in them, and this is what he's good at putting in them. And it's like Ken Loach, not gonna do that,
Yeah.
But Josh Safdie most certainly is going to make an extremely stressful movie, and I think that's I go in more in my artist brain here. It's like, what is the intentional emotional response? What is the curated response for this movie? And I think it is this like heart-pounding, stressful, being enraptured by the tension and the drama and the character all in one. And not necessarily because you like it or you want it to go well, but because like a burning car on the side of the highway, you can't look away. You gotta look at it.
Yeah, I think that to make my criticism more specific, I think that I just feel like there's one too many episodes in that portion for me, and I sort of wonder like what's the episode I might take out. I almost wonder if it's maybe a little less with Wally, maybe a little less of them hustling in the bowling alley, because I think that the to your point, Timo, I also I love the scene in the hotel, and we have all these competing priorities. We learn about the fine, the tub falls, the arm's broken, the dog got to go to the vet.
It's all set up too. The guy's like, don't use the shower.
Yeah.
we sort of have this moment where we have all these things we set up. We've got a dog that has to be washed. We have a
Marty that needs to be washed.
A Marty that needs to be washed. A shower we can't use. We know that there's something a little fishy about his time at the Ritz. We got this mail being going through, and then it all just sort of unfolds. And I think that that's successful to me because because as we're following Marty and he feels this sense of invincibility to an extent, he would never imagine that the guy that he just got he's doing this favor for is going to stab a restaurateur and kidnap his girlfriend and be a mob boss. I like this sense that Marty's understanding of the world is completely shattered by a decision that he would just make to screw over, to con anybody. I think that works really well for me. I just wonder, like, if we spent a little bit less time scamming in the bowling alley, and it would just maybe move a little bit faster for me. I think that's really what I mean in specific. It's not a very large complaint.
Yeah.
I will say that gas station scene was jaw dropping to me. I mean, I guess I should have seen. There's this old PS2 video game been playing in which Midnight Dub, Rockstar Games, great game. If you crash in that game, nothing happens. Midnight Club Dub Remix 3, whatever, stupidly complex game.
You called it Midnight Dub. Like, I don't think that's a real game.
Yeah, well, that's what I refer to it as. Nothing happens if you crash in the game, but you crash in the gas station, you're blowing sky high. True. And so it was a little like, what is it? Chekhov's gas station. The gas station appears and I go, oh, this is going to blow sky high. But when it did, it happened in a way where I couldn't like put the pieces together in my mind. I'm like, okay, we got the gasoline, we got the guys who want to kill our main characters. How's this all going to blow up? But then when it finally does, was shocking to me. I mean, I was like in the theater, like just completely mouth agape because of the thought and the realization, like, holy shit, Marty just torched 6 dudes. Like, the guys are not living this. Marty killed him. He killed him. And I'm going to have to live with that as I then think about whether I root for this character or not for the rest of the runtime. It's an interesting, I don't really fault it for being like shocking and gratuitous in these parts.
I have 2 quick thoughts, and then I have 2 pins that we place that we should go back to before we wrap up here. Two quick thoughts are two really great lines that I just wrote down while I was watching it, rewatching it this time around, that come during this middle section. One is before the bathtub crashes through the floor. Uh, when Marty is trying to reaffirm that the baby is not his, and earlier he says like, I pull out, does Ira pull out? When he's arguing with Wally about this, and he says like, I practice continence. Do you know what this is? You know what that is? And whenever I pee, I stop and I hold it for 10 seconds, and then Wally just comes back with that's how you get a bladder infection.
Yeah,
It's like that's out of modern time. Like that's a joke written for the modern era. That would not have been in an older movie.
Yeah.
Or
I also just want to say very briefly, people are like online. I'm seeing a little bit of hate for Tyler's performance. I think he's cool in the
I
movie.
think it's cool too.
Yeah, he's good.
The other one is just a quick line that Marty throws off when he's arguing with Dion, when his parents have arrived back and he's trying to kick him out. And Dion's dad comes down. And he's like, "Oh, hey, we have a meeting with Spaulding tomorrow, first thing in the morning. Don't forget it." Like I got it all set up. He's like he's arguing with two different people. Then he's like, "Oh, I got to make a business deal real quick." I just love
yeah, but
that.
it's completely made up. What's Spaulding deal?
Yeah, we don't know what the fuck that is.
It's completely.
So
I do love it when Dion dumps all the balls onto the street.
Mhm.
It's like, another way to make this explosion, right? We're gonna take a scene and we're gonna keep going the tension, but it's gotta boil over at some point. And in the gas station we get a literal fireball, and in this scene we get this kind of like metaphorical fireball when
Mhm.
all the little orange spheres are dropped onto the sidewalk, and the the hope of that dream, that business goal, the door there shuts.
Yeah.
And it's like, I forget who said it at the beginning, but the way that these Safdie movies like are constantly, that door is just shutting and our character squeaks right through, and yet sometimes
That was
it
a
shuts.
Buhner original.
Yeah,
Okay.
a Buhner original.
Two pins.
Go ahead.
The two
Tanner.
pins we got. Let's do the longer one
Yeah.
first. Longer one is the ending. So Marty wins the second match, comes back to America with the American soldiers. I like that he's just like, that he's literally like coming back from war almost. And he has a family now, much like the sort of like post-war American dream, the baby, like the literal baby boom that ensued. What do you guys make of that scene? I mean, this has been much discussed and talked about online. What is Marty's true feelings about this? Is he going to change from this? Is he going to just stay the same? Is he going to settle down? Like what this tearing up that he does? What does it all mean to you guys?
So there's a couple things for me, and I want to take it at the ping pong ball box again for a
Okay.
second. In the brilliant opening credits scene, the fertilized egg becomes a ping pong ball.
Perfect.
Best shot in the
I
movie.
love that. Love it so
Classic.
much.
Classic.
So to me, I take the ping pong ball, this orange ping pong ball, as another baby of Marty's, and we watch it get aborted. It gets thrown out the window. They're scattered across the
Yep.
street, and I think that there is this understanding.
It's like jizzing on the sidewalk.
I think
Spill
there's
the
this,
seed.
and there's this understanding in Marty's character when he's in Japan, and I'm coming into that into
Mhm.
this match against Endo with the ping pong balls thrown all over the sidewalk. I think that Chalamet plays this in a way, in my view, where he kind of knows that it's the end of the road here. I think about when we linger after he's won the exhibition match. He's turned around and he's like he's overcome with this emotion. But I also think that there's this understanding that it's at the end of the road here, and there's this thing that he has been putting off that we know as viewers is lingering over the film from the opening scene, that he has a child. And so I think he comes back to this understanding that, as the final needle drop suggests, what this other dream is gone. This is his life
Yeah.
now. And I think that what's powerful to me about the ending is that watching this, to your point, Tucker, this character who seems so cloistered and has a defense for everything, to be defenseless in this moment. It's not really important to me what happens to him 1 week after the end of the film. He has come face to face with two dreams. He's come face to face with Endo and he's won. And now he's come face to face with what his life is now. And I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the ending a lot too, because it is, we get our sort of screenplay vibe. Character got what they wanted / what they needed, right? He wanted this victory, this world championship, and he gets it in as much as he beats Endo in a real match on stage in a humiliating defeat for Japan. And then when he comes back and the child is there, it to me reads that I mostly agree with you, Abram, that he sees this new future that is there for him. He's got with is it Murray who's the shop owner, the
Yes,
shoe
his
store
uncle.
owner?
Yeah.
His uncle. Yeah.
His uncle. It's like, that door might never shut. Like that door of working at that shop might never really truly close because of the family relationships and that the tenement that they all live in together.
Mhm.
And also, the victory over Endo is not. It's a one. You're
It's like
supposed to play 3 games. He wins 1 game. That's all he wins, and there's no opportunity to play in the championship. As you're saying, Timo,
Yeah.
what's the door that's open and what's the door that's closed?
The door that's opened is the family back home. And yeah, I think it's interesting that he flies home on the plane. It's the baby boom.
Mhm.
It's all these kind of cultural context elements. But I mean, I think that performance of Chalamet, who knows this is the end in Tokyo, and then comes back and his final act of the movie is like an upstanding moral one. We've talked about who is he and what's the core of his character. He's not abandoning this child, at least for what we see. He shows up. He says, "I'm here. I'm staying here." He goes and looks at the child, and he has that look in his eyes, and so does the baby too. Great baby actor, who was like, Papa, son. They have that look amongst. They share that moment, the two of them, and so I read it
Now, I
as
will
this like
say,
uplift at the end of the movie. We were just crashing. We're crashing and burning for like 90 minutes here. Oh, my light just ran out. We gotta wrap this one up. But
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, sweet.
my battery powered light. That it's just this like moment here at the end of the movie where we get what we want, kind of at the cost of everything.
yeah. Number one is that baby's face. I didn't rate it as a papa father thing. He just kind of looked like he was contemplating, and honestly, that was what my face looked like when the movie was finishing.
So you
I was like,
related
I
to
really
the
related
baby
this
far
baby.
more than you did Marty. Sure.
Yes, but I also related to the baby because it's a character that is innocent, that hasn't had this impact of maybe like the worst father you could possibly have.
Not great.
And that also I think does not paint the end of this movie in a particularly light for me, is because what I have seen the entire runtime of, again, what felt to me like a fucking 5-hour movie, is that he is a bad person who does not care about other people or the consequences of his actions. And I'm like, I don't want him to have this child. I don't want him to be around Rachel. I don't want him around his mother. I don't want him around Wally or around Kay or around Murray. I'm like, these people are 200 times better than he is. And the fact that they continue to put up with this bullshit is an indictment on them. And it's an indictment on him for not changing. And sure, yeah, we see like him cry and like kiss her on the head. I'm like, to be honest, and again, maybe this is just how committed he is to the performance or how I was not able to buy into it. I almost think like, oh, maybe those emotions are lies too. Like I don't see that that side to him. And so when he shows up at the very last second, I'm like, that was not earned. You did not earn this. I do not believe that he's actually emotional. He's actually committed to this. I think he's going to, quote unquote, Marty relapse. And a week later, he's going to be out shooting people or stealing from them or bribing the cops or threatening at gunpoint.
Sure.
Like, he will do anything. And I do not buy that he has changed in this moment. And so it was, I don't know, I would say bittersweet ending to me, where I'm like, I think what this ending indicates to me is that he's going to stick around and screw up this kid's life major.
Yeah, I mean, I read it both ways. I mean, you could read the hopeful ending.
That's a wrong reading at all.
You could read the hopeful ending that like, yeah, he was a fucking idiot like in his 20s or whatever, but now he has this immense responsibility that he can no longer turn away from, and now like it's such a monumental thing to have a child. It is such a monumental thing to have a child that like maybe this is the thing that like cracks through everything and stops him in his tracks. Or maybe it doesn't. Like it is perfectly conceivable that either is possible. Second thing, very quick. I was born in 1601. I'm a vampire. Love that line. Crazy shit. just worth pointing out that, and if you guys have thoughts on it, you can quickly say them too. I think it's like a capitalism thing. Like that, there is no like date when capitalism started, but like I saw someone point
1601 is a pretty good one.
1601 is a pretty good one because I saw someone point out that like the Dutch East India Company was founded in 1602. So I'm like the idea of like international commerce, mercantile capitalism. I was
The
like,
joint stock company.
So
last thing I'll say, I put my score in. Timothee Chalamet talked about playing ping pong 6 hours a day and setting up tables anywhere in the world he was, and it fucking shows. God damn, is it cool to watch the ping pong?
And that they're like, let's go wide, let's shoot this ping pong scene wide, and they're like, bang, 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 they're doing craziness. He's going behind the back. I mean, the ping pong, the skill involved in just the sporting of this is really cool.
Okay.
I'm punching my score in.
3, 2.
Okay,
oh, wait, no, you count down.
1.
Sorry.
3, 2, 1, go. Okay, we've got a score. Marty Supreme's going to have a 7.7 on our list, putting it at spot number 2. Point breakdown is, if you can believe it, Tucker gave it a 3.9, followed by me with an 8.5, Tanner with a 9.0, and Abram with a 9.5. So 7.7 is the score. No ties, no nothing. That's how the cookie crumbles.
There we go.
Bangarang. Bangarang.
No wheel, but we have a verdict on what we're watching next.
We have a verdict on what we're watching next. Folks, it's one of the movie hits of the year that we're returning back to. There's currently a video review on Back Lot Banter that you can watch, but we're going to get far more deep into Ryan Coogler's Sinners next time.
Very excited.
Yes, very excited to revisit this one too. It's been many months. Yeah. I went back to the Delta between when we reviewed it the first time and now. So my cultural experience is, I guess, up to date. I don't know. The movie takes place in the 30s.
It does.
All three of you guys reviewed it together?
Dude,
all three of you did?
I don't remember.
Oh, was it
just me, Tanner?
It was just you and Tanner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, I remember seeing it.
I haven't seen it since theaters.
Royal, Cool. Well, Sinners next time. Thanks for this electric discussion. Yes. We'll be back next time to talk about Sinners. Stay cool, keep warm. Peace.